They mocked Emily Kessler the moment she stepped into Fort Lancer, too polished, too quiet, too civilian. Sergeant Miguel Ramos sneered, called her cheer squad material, and laughed with the class. What he didn't know, she wasn't a recruit. She was Lieutenant Colonel Kessler, decorated with 3 silver stars, 5 purple hearts, here under classified orders. When the truth hit, jaws dropped. Phones were still recording when Colonel Harrison revealed who she really was. Stick around, because the man who tried to humiliate her is about to be schooled on battlefield respect by the one who's earned it. Let us know where you're watching from and what time you found this. We read every single comment. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any videos. Sergeant Miguel Ramos adjusts his pristine instructor's badge, feeling its weight, a symbol of authority earned through 20 grueling years of service. The morning sunlight streaming through Fort Lancer's windows catches on his insignia as he surveys the Advanced Strategic Operations classroom, his domain of absolute control. His gaze fixes immediately on Emily Kessler, her presence an affront to everything he believes about military excellence. Why? Well, looks like the cheerleading squad sent us a recruit. Sergeant Miguel Ramos announces, his voice carrying the weight of countless similar moments where he'd weeded out the unwanted. The familiar sound of his boots clicking against the polished floor fills him with satisfaction as he approaches her desk, each step a deliberate show of confidence. Several phones discreetly rise to capture the moment, but he pays them no mind. He wouldn't dare challenge his judgment. Standing over her desk, Sergeant Miguel Ramos towers above Emily Kessler, drinking in the snickers from the other students. 20 years of service has taught me to spot the weak links. He continues running a finger along his perfectly aligned edge. And sweetheart, you're definitely in the wrong place. His words slice through the air, sharp and precise as a combat knife, but something in her unwavering gaze catches him off guard. Those aren't the eyes of someone who breaks easily. A fleeting doubt crosses his mind, but he pushes it aside, reaching down to tap her desk with commanding authority. Let's see if you can even name the basic components of a field medical kit, since you clearly wandered into the wrong classroom. The sound of rapid footsteps approaches from the hallway, but Sergeant Miguel Ramos is too invested in his performance to notice. Maybe the recruitment office mistook this for Sergeant Ramos. Colonel Harrison's voice cracks like a whip across the classroom. Step away from Lieutenant Colonel Kessler immediately. The air leaves his lungs as if punched. Lieutenant Colonel Sergeant Miguel Ramos's fingers instinctively touch his instructor's badge, its surface suddenly cold against his skin. The classroom has gone deathly quiet, phones still recording as his carefully constructed world begins to tilt. Lieutenant Colonel Kessler is here to evaluate our combat medic training programs for the Joint Chiefs. Colonel Harrison continues each word, hammering another nail into Sergeant Miguel Ramos's coffin of certainty. Her classified status and decorated combat record in Afghanistan were supposed to remain confidential, but I suppose we can thank you for forcing this introduction. Will Sergeant Miguel Ramos's 20 years of power and prejudice survive this devastating challenge to his authority? His fingers trace the edge of his instructor's badge, the symbol of control, now feeling like a burning brand against his chest. Every eye is fixed on him, every phone capturing his humiliation. Within hours, George Ramos trained across military social media channels. And now, all he can focus on is the unwavering gaze of just the type of power falls. If you've ever witnessed someone's authority crumble in an instant, the memory of his first day as an instructor fluorescent lights of Fort Lancer's personnel office cast harsh shadows as Sergeant Miguel Ramos methodically spreads Emily Kessler's file across his desk. His instructor's badge, polished to a mirror shine this morning, now feels heavier against his chest. Something about these documents sets his teeth on edge. Entire sections vanish beneath thick black lines, leaving more questions than answers. 27 classified operations in 3 years. That can't be right. Sergeant Miguel Ramos mutters his fingers, drumming an anxious rhythm on his desk. The sound echoes through the empty office like accusations. His mind keeps circling back to this morning's confrontation, to the way Kessler's eyes had held something he couldn't quite read. Not fear, not submission. Something else. The classified stamps mock him from every page. Thump, thump, thump. Like a heartbeat growing more irregular with each discovery. Sergeant Miguel Ramos pulls up his training records from the past decade, scanning through hundreds of names. His pride had always rested on identifying potential and a glance on knowing exactly where each recruit belonged. But now, a knock at his door makes him jump. "Come in," Sergeant Miguel Ramos calls quickly, straightening the scattered papers. Lieutenant Chen enters her expression carefully neutral. "Sir, I thought you should know. General Holden's office called. They're requesting all documentation regarding this morning's incident with Specialist Kessler." The words hit Sergeant Miguel Ramos like physical blows. General Holden personally involved. His throat tightens as he remembers his old instructor, Master Sergeant Torres, words from 15 years ago. Pride before the fall, Ramos. Every time. Diving deeper into the redacted files, Sergeant Miguel Ramos uncovers fragments that paint an increasingly disturbing picture. Medical expertise in crisis zones, advanced tactical certifications, commendations buried under security classifications so high he shouldn't even know they exist. His hands begin to shake as he pulls up psychological research on confirmation bias in military leadership. The studies feel like mirrors reflecting his own face backward. Instructors dismissing qualified personnel based on preconceptions, careers derailed by unchecked assumptions, systemic patterns repeating through generations of command. Just like Torres taught me, Sergeant Miguel Ramos whispers, remembering how his mentor had praised his gut instincts about recruits. But Torres had been forced into early retirement after a string of discrimination complaints, hadn't he? The memory sits like acid in his stomach. The office grows darker as evening approaches, but Sergeant Miguel Ramos barely notices lost in an expanding web of connections. His finger traces the edge of his instructor's badge, once a symbol of absolute authority, now feeling more like a weight, drawing him down into depths he'd rather not explore. A text notification breaks his concentration. It's a link to a military training forum, where a discussion about this morning's incident is already brewing. Sergeant Miguel Ramos's breath catches as he reads comments from other instructors, recognizing his own prejudices, reflected in their words, seeing the bigger picture he's been part of for so long. Have you witnessed systemic bias in action? Comment below with your experience. The classified stamps continue their mocking rhythm as Sergeant Miguel Ramos stares at his reflection, in the window his instructor's badge catching the last light of day. In the darkening glass, he barely recognizes himself. All these years, he thinks, I've been so certain about everything, about who belongs where, about what makes a soldier, about my right to judge. The thought circles his mind like smoke, making it hard to breathe. But what if everything I've built my career on is just another layer of prejudice, another notification of tapes? More personnel files, more redacted pages, more evidence that his instincts about Kessler were catastrophically wrong. The weight of his assumptions presses against his chest like a body armor that's too tight, threatening to crush him under the weight of years of unchecked bias. As night falls over, Fort Lancer, Sergeant Miguel Ramos sits alone in his office, surrounded by the paper trail of his own prejudices, wondering junior officers passes by their conversation, dropping to hushed tones the moment they spawn. Heard about Kessler's citations from Operation Black Talon. One whispers not quite soft enough. 3 silver stars. Sergeant Miguel Ramos grips his badge tightly, his knuckles white. The weight of it seems to increase with each passing minute, each new revelation about Emily Kessler hitting him like physical blows. He remembers how he'd sneered at her form during morning drills, encouraging others to mock her, only to watch her execute every movement with mechanical precision, her eyes never meeting his, her discipline speaking volumes. The sound of boots on polished floors makes him flinch. Down the hallway, Colonel Harrison emerges from his office, holding a thick file marked classified. Miguel Ramos' heart races as he catches a glimpse of Kessler's name on the tab, along with the black talon insignia he's only seen in military legends. Sir, he manages, but Colonel Harrison walks past without acknowledgement, leaving Miguel Ramos standing alone with his crumbling certainty. His phone buzzes, another notification about the morning's video. Ramos' wrong is trending on military forums with thousands of shares. Former Black Talon operators are breaking silence protocols just to defend Kessler's honor. His inbox fills with messages from superior officers and explanations. Miguel Ramos retreats to his office, closing the door with trembling hands. The weight of his badge feels like it's burning through his chest. He opens his laptop thinking to draft a response to his superiors, but freezes when he sees an email from Central. The subject line reads, "Immediate review of instructor status. Incident reported fine." Through his window, he watches Kessler leading an advanced combat medical training session. Her movements are precise, confident. Everything he played, she wasn't. A small crowd of senior medical officers has gathered to observe their respective potential stark contrast to the degradation. "You don't belong here," he told her. Now watching her demonstrate a complex battlefield procedure, those words return to haunt him. Every precise movement, every confident instruction she gives, screams of experience he should have recognized. Experience he chose to ignore. His phone rings. It's his mentor, Command Sergeant Major Phillips. Miguel Ramos lets it go to voicemail, unable to face another conversation about his lapse in judgment. The last call had ended with Phillips saying words that still ring in his ears. "You've embarrassed the entire instructor corps, Miguel. This isn't just about you anymore." The badge catches the afternoon light, throwing shadows on his desk. 3 silver stars. Operation Black Talon. The pieces fit together now, forming a picture that makes his past actions look increasingly indefensible. His certainty, once armor-plated, now feels as fragile as glass. A knock at his door makes him jump. "Sergeant Ramos," a voice calls. "Personnel committee wants to see you. Now." Tight pride falls if you've ever watched someone's certainty crumble. The badge that once felt like a symbol of authority now weighs him down like an anchor of shame. Miguel Ramos takes one last look at Kessler through the window, wondering how many other heroes he's misjudged, before standing to face what he knows will be the beginning of the end of everything he's worked for. The sound of his office door closing behind him echoes through the empty hallway, a hollow reminder of how quickly respect can evaporate when truth comes to light. Sergeant Miguel Ramos storms through Fort Lancer's corridors, his polished badge catching the fluorescent lights as sweat trickles down his neck. The training room ahead feels like a minefield, each step bringing him closer to the presentation scheduled to assert his dominance. But something in his gut screams danger. The room falls silent as he enters. The students snap to attention, but their eyes keep drifting to Kessler standing quietly. The Kessler served 3 tours. General Martinez's voice cuts through the chaos from the doorway. She saved more lives under heavy fire than most of us will ever encounter. The general's presence makes Sergeant Miguel Ramos's badge feel like it's searing through his chest. The social media notifications start buzzing through the room. Respect earned trends within minutes his earlier confrontation with Kessler, playing beneath her service record. His own voice sounds alien arrogant as it echoes from dozens of phones. Know your place recruit. Sergeant Miguel Ramos watches his authority crumble as security footage shows him berating the very soldier who earned the military's highest honors. Each medal on screen feels like a bullet to his pride. His hand instinctively reaches for his badge, but for the first time in 15 years, the medal offers no comfort. I believe you were teaching about respect, Sergeant White. Kessler's quiet voice carries more weight than all his years of shouting. The room waits for his response phones recording history hanging in the balance. Drop 1 if you've ever misjudged someone's strength. His legs feel like lead as he approaches the podium. The badge that once represented his power now burns with shame against his chest. Every face in the room reflects the truth he's been running from. His authority is built on prejudice, not principle. Hi, Sergeant Miguel Ramos begins, his voice cracking. The words he's looking for won't come. Instead, he slowly unpins his instructor's badge and places it on the podium. The sound it makes against the wood echoes like a gavel pronouncing judgment on years of unchecked bias. The viral hashtag continues to climb. His phone won't stop vibrating with notifications, each one a reminder of how spectacular his world has imploded. But beneath the humiliation, something else stirs. A recognition of the strength it takes to lead with quiet dignity rather than loud advances. Class dismissed. He manages, but nobody moves. They're waiting for something more, something real. The badge sits between him and Kessler like a bridge or a barrier. He's no longer rich. Share this moment if you believe true strength speaks louder than words. His empire of fear has crumbled, but as Sergeant Miguel Ramos stands in the ruins, he realizes it needed to fall. The real lesson about respect isn't the one he planned to teach. It's the one he's learning now in front of everyone as his carefully constructed walls come crashing down. Standing before my final class at Fort Lancer, my hands trembling, Sergeant Miguel Ramos can barely look at the polished oak podium where I once commanded respect. The same room where I humiliated Special Advisor Kessler now feels like a court of judgment with every face in the audience reflecting back the shame I fought so hard to deny. My instructor's badge catches the morning light as I unfasten it, the metallic click echoing through the silent auditorium. 27 years of service reduced to this moment of truth. The badge that once symbolized my authority now weighs heavy with the burden of my arrogance. I stand before you today not as your instructor. My voice cracks, betraying emotions I'd suppressed for decades. But as someone who forgot the most fundamental lesson of leadership, the words taste bitter yet necessary. I let prejudice cloud my judgment, allowing personal bias to overshadow merit. From the corner of my eye, I see Special Advisor Kessler standing at attention near the back wall. Her presence, dignified and unwavering, serves as a living testament to my failure. The viral video of our confrontation, now approaching 10 million views under mindful shrine to Ramos lessons, continues to serve as a training tool across military installations worldwide. When I confronted Special Advisor Kessler that day, I saw what I wanted to see. Someone who didn't fit my narrow definition of soldier. My fingers traced the empty spot where my badge once sat. What I failed to see was her 3 tours of combat medicine, her silver star, or the classified set. She addresses me directly, her voice carrying the weight of both justice and mercy. Your journey will help ensure others don't repeat these mistakes. The words cut deep, but they also heal. My former badge now rests in Fort Lancer's newly established Museum of Military Justice, alongside other artifacts that tell stories of transformation and growth. The placard beneath it reads, "Change begins with acknowledgement." The investigation triggered by my actions revealed a pattern of similar incidents across multiple bases, leading to the implementation of the Kessler Protocol, a comprehensive reform of military leadership training. My public downfall became the catalyst for systemic change. Type transform if you believe every mistake can lead to meaningful change appears on screens throughout the auditorium as my story reaches its conclusion. Looking at the empty spot where my badge once rested, I finally understand true strength isn't in maintaining power. It's in acknowledging when we've wielded it wrongly. Sometimes, I say my voice, finding its strength in vulnerability. Our greatest service comes not from our victories, but from our willingness to admit defeat. The cameras recording this session will ensure my testimony reaches every corner of the military establishment. Ramos Lessons has evolved from a hashtag of shame to a symbol of institutional transformation. Share this moment if you believe in the power of change. Flashes across the screens as I prepare to exit the podium for the last time. In my final act as Sergeant Miguel Ramos, I turn to Special Advisor Kessler and render a perfect salute. Not because of rank or protocol, but because she embodied the principles I had forgotten: courage, dignity, and the unwavering pursuit of justice. The strongest soldiers, I conclude my voice steady at last, aren't the ones who never fall. They're the ones who show us how to rise again stronger and wiser than before.